Oh, evil's not an upcharge. It comes with a model. Here's a look at NECA Toys Defenders of the Earth Figure 6, Garax, the ultimate evil robot. Programmed by the wicked hand of Ming, Garax is the most villainous robot in the galaxy. Evil leader of the ice robot army, he alone has the capacity to alter and adapt strategy in the endless battle of heroes and villains. You look like somebody I used to know. Let's take the tape measure, though, either way, and figure out how tall the Defenders of the Earth Garax stands. Originally, he wasn't listed on the back of the packaging at the time that the other 5 figures were released. So when we looked at Lothar, for example, Garax wasn't even featured there. When NECA had then later released Garax, all of a sudden the figure set came to 6 instead of just the 5. Does anybody really care? Oh, some of you care. Ironically enough, only 5 of you care. The tape measure is going to tell us that Garax, evil or not, stands at 7 inches in height, or roughly about 18 centimeters tall. Now, I have a Ming I can bring, but this one actually is inspired from the Galoob 1986 toy line, because NECA had released 2 variations of each of the characters. There's also as well a Galoob version of Garax, because this version of him actually is based more on the cartoon. Let's bring in some other figures as well, and you probably already see a trend happening right here, that Garax is considerably taller than all the others. He's taller than Ming, he's certainly taller than certainly Mandrake the Magician, and he's taller than Lothar. Let's run through the accessories for this evil robot. Garax has 2 styles of weapons, 2 firing energy effects that are unique to those weapons. I'll show you guys which one goes with which. 6 interchangeable hands, and then an Easter egg. Before you think we're going to be cracking any shells, the actual Easter egg is an adapter piece that belongs to Zuffy. Zuffy was that purple little character that was included along with the Phantom. Even though I have the Phantom, I don't know the whereabouts of Zuffy. I'm starting to get a little worried. I hope he's okay. This is a scruff piece that would go on the back, so then any figure that has a gripping hand would be able to carry him around. Sort of think of it the same way as a mama cat carries around her little kittens. Meow! Now, you think that that's going to hurt a kitten. I wouldn't recommend, obviously, picking up the cat by the scruff if you have one in your house, but a mama cat, the moment she picks up her kittens, the kittens sort of go in a freezed state. So then she can carry them around to safety. If you had, though, the figure, this would be basically clip around the neck area, and then you have this extra bit of skin. I guess that would be his fur. Now, I don't have a figure right now, but I do have one of the included hands for Garax. And basically what it is you just take this hand right here, and you just clip it on, just like that. And then you can carry around Zuffy that way. I think it's kind of cool. You know, the thing about it, though, is if you haven't already picked up the Phantom, then you obviously don't have Zuffy. And if you don't have Zuffy, then this accessory really is null and void. It serves no real purpose, meow, meow, other than just really thinking of baby kittens. And I'm all for the idea of thinking of baby kittens. Also, some of the other swappable hand options. You get a closed fist. And all of these look really nice. I love the way they've added these additional kind of shapes of blue. You also get yourself a gripping hand for holding one of the blasters. And you also get another, more again like a pinching hand, because again, like if you look at the pinch between the pointer and the thumb, it's again about that just the right size to be carrying around Zuffy. I don't want to keep talking about carrying around poor Zuffy. I still hope he's okay. I got to really check maybe he's been sending me letters and I haven't been getting them. Oh, Zuffy, I hope you're okay. Let's look at the blasters, though. Yeah, okay, so the blaster, one of them that comes included with this hand model. It's not, though, the exact same blaster as one of the other Defenders of the Earth. Not only is it a different type of blue, but also you can see the back handle is completely different. So let's take that hand, which is this hand right here, and you can see he holds it perfectly fine. Oh, don't worry, I'll show you guys how to swap the hands out as well in a second. Now, while you have this gun being held in his hand, you want to use this energy effect. These blast effects look almost identical from the top, but they look very different from the bottom. The one that has the burst is the one that goes on the end nozzle. So you take yourself the gun, find the hole, find the end of the nozzle, and plugs in place just like that. Stays pretty securely. It isn't actually that much different from the Defenders of the Earth ones. I gotta make sure I flip it around the other way. Yeah, it looks to be almost identical. I would almost even say like Garax is just a little more blue, but it looks like it's a very similar style of shape. So obviously that can go into his hands. Let's do that right now. The other hands that he has are mauling hands. So maybe if Zuffy's giving him a tough time, he can just squish him like a grape. Oh, that's horrible. Stop talking about Zuffy that way. Changing out the hands. We want to make sure, of course, we got the hand going. Yeah, okay, we want to make sure we got the right hand chosen here. Just wiggle the hand, remove it from the post. Paint will come off. Just expect that. and then pop the new hand that you want to use, pop that back in place. So now he's got the blaster that way. And of course, you can just use the blast firing effect, just attach it on the end the exact same way I showed you. The other one that he has is this arm cannon. Get off all this extra paint. This arm cannon is molded in pretty much that same style of blue. Now, you can either choose to have this on the ends of his arm. So, like, let's say, for example, we just take this other hand off. Expect more paint flakage. There we go. Yeah, it's all over the place. You basically just take your arm cannon and plug it in that way. It's more friction than anything else. Actually, on the back of the packaging, I believe they have it on this side, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, you could turn it this way as well if you want. Now, with that, there's also a blast effect. Now, the difference is that this one only has the post on the end. And you'll see with the hole on the end of the nozzle, that just fits in like that. I wouldn't want to say it sits as securely. The one that goes on this one sits a lot better. If you bang this, sometimes it does come off. One thing that's cool too, also about this cannon, is you can take this off, and if you look at the bottom of it, there's an indentation that almost looks like it's supposed to have a gun fit into it. It does and it doesn't. If you take this piece right here, see the part that sticks up, it fits right onto the end of it. But honestly, though, once it's on there, it's not the most secure. I know it's supposed to be on there, but it feels like it doesn't. It feels like it probably could have attached a lot easier than it does. I mean, it shows certainly a lot easier to attach it, but I just don't feel like it stays as well in place. It comes off way too frequently. Now, obviously, doing it this way as well, you can take yourself the blast effect, which probably would have made better sense to do it first. And you can take this one and put it on the end of the gun. And as I did at the beginning of this review, you can double it up. Sort of almost getting an upcharge and getting an extra patty on your burger. There we go. Now he's got these extra. They're sort of off a line from one another. You can kind of bring them a little bit closer together, but I find like they get. You don't want to cross the streams, or is that really Ghostbusters? I guess it's more Ghostbusters. So there's those options. I think, if anything, I'd probably just end up displaying the cannon arm on one side and then the pistol on the other. That works a little bit better. So let's go ahead and remove these. Put them off to the side. He also probably needs himself a hand, so we'll put a hand back in place. There we go. And let's get a closer look at Garax. Now, Garax here is actually based more on the cartoon Defenders of the Earth. The original 1986 Galoob toy line release of Garax actually had more just the colors, just a sort of a straight kind of opal, or like kind of like a pearl color, like a pearlesque. That was the color I was trying to think of. So like the colors are a little bit more vibrant here because he looks more like a prism. He kind of reminds me of Crystar, like he would be is it Crystar? Crystar? Kind of reminds me of a villain from that. I do really like the head sculpt though. It's pretty simple though. All primary colors, all primary shapes, like triangles. You got some squares and diamonds and stuff all on there. I do like the way they've done his eyes though. Now, again, when we look at eventually the Galoob version of this guy, also released by NECA, the face isn't going to change at all, nor is really the body. One thing, though, is going to be different is right down below here in his abdomen area, there's going to be an image of Ming. So that's one thing I kind of think that the other one, the toy version, does a little bit better. But I think color-wise, this one might have it a bit more beat. Again, you've got the more primary colors of the white making more of the appearances here. Nice lighter colors of the blue and the darker blue added in there as well. It's a really fun figure. It's one of those cases, again, like I really advocate, just if you don't know enough about Defenders of the Earth, doesn't mean that you would have to pass on a character like this altogether, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Unfortunately, though, when it comes to his articulation, not that I'm going to be jumping to it right away, the one thing, unfortunately, he suffers with is that with the way they sculpted the top of his abdomen area here, when you bring his body back as far back as I'm doing right now, which realistically, most people probably aren't going to be displaying a character like this. You're going to notice, though, a little more of a gap space from the top of his torso to his abdomen underneath. Other than that, though, like he looks pretty complete all around. And again, I just really like his more choppier, angular look. For the figure's articulation, starting back to his head sculpt, it's going to be in a ball joint, so it allows the head to rotate all the way around. The way that its head is also designed, too, you'd have to kind of lift the head a little bit for a full rotation to happen. If you have it down like this, it's going to hit the sides of his shoulders. So you want to obviously bring his head up a little bit more just to accomplish that. Head's going to look down, only that low looks up. You can also rock it back and forth as well. The upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. Not much, though. Not much at all. Actually, you know what? More of a waist swivel than anything. I don't want to really say it's a ball joint on the top because clearly it isn't. He's only got a shoulder crunch or a torso crunch. More a waist swivel than anything else. So like the other figures, for example, that we've looked at, Mandrake. I was drawing a blank there for a second. Like Mandrake, for example, if we just bring that figure in, he had more of an upper torso ball joint because, again, like all of this would basically be just like a plastic molded piece over top of his body. With Garax, though, he can't really hide all that much. So that's one of the reasons why this guy doesn't have an upper torso ball joint. Crunch, though, certainly is there. He has a waist swivel all the way around. The arms come out. I wouldn't want to necessarily say it's 90 degrees. It's a little less than 90 degrees. Also, too, the way that they've painted this, it gets really close in quarters right around here, and I would worry that that's going to start to scrape the paint. Hasn't happened yet for the hour or so I've had this guy out of the packaging. Hopefully it doesn't happen over time, though. The shoulders allow the arms to rotate all the way around. Swivel at the bicep. Double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate all the way around. The legs split out only by that far. You can take the legs and move forward. You can move them back. There's a swivel there at the top of the thigh. A double hinge on the knee, although I've noticed with my knees, not my knees, his knees, they're really tight. Really, really tight. And then you got, of course, your ankle pivot. I like also the way they've sculpted his feet. Apparently, not all robots feel the need to have toes. Garax seems to have toes on his. Feet also move up and down, rock back and forth. And there's also some decent levels of toe articulation as well. This guy's also going to get brought back to when we look at the Galoob release of him as well. And like that case, he was released pretty old. The Galoob version, based on the 1986 toy line, was released in 2023, I believe. Whereas this version of Garax, I think, was released in 2022 or maybe just on the cusp. Yeah, I think he was released in like September, October 2022. Either way. 3 years late that we're looking at this guy. He's a nice addition, though, to my collection. Now, again, what's interesting is when at the time that both Mandrake was released and also when we got this guy right here, Lothar, Garax was not featured on the back of the packaging. So because of that, when you had picked up these two characters, you may have been misled to believe that the figure line only consisted of 5 figures. When then Garax was released afterwards, the packaging was changed so it featured 6 characters. Again, I think it's a really neat looking character that if you don't have any knowledge at all of Defenders of the Earth, it's one that I think you could still pick up and display predominantly on your shelf. He's very unique from all the others. And he's also quite different, too, from the Galoob release of him, the toy line inspired version of the robot, where you'll see that the colors will change. They get a little bit more simpler in design. And he also has on his stomach Ming the Merciless, which isn't featured on this release. Something I did want to tack on to Garax here, and more the assembly of his arm cannon. You don't actually have to remove the hand at all. If you use the closed fist, the fist fits fine inside the cannon cavity. So you don't even have to worry about removing the hand at all, which is probably a good thing too, because then if you put all the other accessories into a bag somewhere, like I'm big for that, put it away in a tote, you don't have to go back to it and say, oh, geez, now I'm deciding not to have the arm cannon on him. Where's that blasted hand? No, you can just keep the hand on the end of his forearm. Now, Garax, though, is one of 2 figures that we will be looking at this review, or in this week's for reviews, that happens to share the exact same name. Unlike both Mandrake and Lothar, where we only looked at just the figures standalone, Garax also did benefit from not only just the Ultimates release figure that we looked at in this review, based on the cartoon look of the character, but he was also gifted as well the Galoob 1986 toy line version. Seems to be the exact same body, a different deco altogether. He also has the arm cannon, but the arm cannon's going to be red instead of this metallic blue. I still think I like the coloring more on the cartoon version, especially liking the cartoon as a kid. I also like the prismatic kind of color scheme that they've given him with the lighter and darker blues. The thing I do really like, though, about the Galoob version of him is he has Ming the Merciless on his tummy tum-tum. Why did I say tummy tum-tum? What do you guys, though, think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comment section. Have you guys been collecting? I know, again, like 3 years late, man. Come on. Why even asking questions? I'm still curious. I'd like to know. Have you guys at all been collecting the Defenders of the Earth when they first came out back in 2022, or are you still trying to track them down now? If you have, let me know if you've been collecting them more as the Ultimates figures, or if you're more interested in the way that they look in the Galoob toy line. If you guys also did enjoy this video, why don't you do it a solid and throw it a like? You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. If you like the look of this figure, you're going to like the look of him again, as again, we're going to be looking at the toy version of Garax in the upcoming review. As always, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.